Hi guys, let's take another round of questions from you guys. I love answering your questions and thank you so much again for putting questions in the comments. And just a real quick info here again, put your questions in your comments in the latest video if you want to make sure that I see them, because I cannot keep up with all the comments anymore. So that's just a quick little tip. So the first question here is from Ansa Yula. Can you make a video about the latest Google Core update and how it affected your websites? So there's a lot of these sort of mysterious updates in Google, so broad algorithm updates, which means that Google is shaking things up on the search result pages, and some are getting more traffic and some are getting less traffic, or at least that's how it usually is. But recently with these broad core updates, it seems like there's less winners and more losers. So what I've been seeing across my sites is that my sites typically grow, steadily as I add more content, and when there's a broad Google Core update, it's just like it's plateauing for a while, and then it continues from there after a month or two. And I've been talking to a couple of my publisher friends who also has like 1 million page views per month, so we're talking huge sites and a portfolio of multiple sites, and they're all reporting the same thing to me. I had a nice chat with some of my friends about it, and they're all seeing this tendency that it's just slowing the growth for a month or two and then it continues from there. So I'm pretty confident that what's happening is that Google is trying to keep more people inside Google, and that's nothing new. Of course, they're trying to keep us on the Google search result page because that's where they can make money. That will enable people to do more searches, where they can maybe get people to do a search where they can show ads and so on. So they do this by putting more featured snippets and other features at the top of the result page, just to answer people's questions and give them sort of everything they're looking for right there on the search result page. So that's what I think is happening. So the reason why it's just stopped climbing and then after a month or two it continues is because I'm pretty sure that Google is rolling out these updates over a few weeks. So over, let's say, 1, 2 or 3 weeks, when the algorithm update hits, there will sort of be a little time where Google will roll it out on all the servers, and also there might be some algorithmic things where they are rolling it out gradually. So that's why it's not a sudden decline or anything. It's just like it's flattening a little bit and then it continues to climb. So I'm pretty sure we're just losing like a little bit of traffic with these core updates. And to me, there's nothing to be worried about. I mean, it's just how it is. If we lose like a couple of % of our traffic, it's no big deal. It just means that our growth will be delayed a month or two. We maybe have to create a little bit more content to get there. But I mean, the overall strategy is the same and nothing changes. So also when I look at the bigger trends, when I look at my websites and Google Analytics, at least for my bigger sites, it's very, very clear to see the same tendency across my bigger sites. It's just like you're losing 1 month or 2 of growth, but it's not hitting you hard. But I mean, there's also other things going on. I mean, Google is also rolling out these YMYL things, which is your money, your life. I have a video specifically about it. I'll link to it up here if you don't know what I'm talking about here. But it's specifically when you're talking about stuff related to finance or health and stuff like that. So if you're seeing like a big hit, if you're not just seeing a decline in traffic, but you're seeing sort of a big dip, you have to look into your Google Analytics and see if it's a specific article getting hit or if it's across all your content. And if it is, you might look into if you're actually writing about something that in Google's eyes could be considered something where you need an expert to write about it. So that's another story. But overall, I'm not worried about these Google updates. We're losing a little bit of traffic, but in the bigger picture, it doesn't mean anything to me. And also, I'm not doing link building or any shady SEO tactics, as you know, so I'm really not worried about the Google updates because I'm trying to craft the best possible content every time I push out a new article. So there's nothing to worry about because that's exactly what Google is looking for. So as long as you're crafting good quality content on topics that you can actually compete for, you're good to go. And that might sound super simple. Just create good content on topics where you can actually compete in Google. It sounds super simple, but it does take quite a long time to learn this. So that's what I'm trying to teach you here on the channel, and of course I'm also digging much deeper into how to write for Google in my upcoming course. So let's take another question that's very related to this one. I have another question. I have a website in a non-YMYL niche, but if I write an article of the type "Is XYZ safe to use?" is that considered YMYL? For example, will you go for a keyword like "Are electronic sewing machines safe?" keeping in mind that the site is brand new and the article will contain terms related to health and fitness, etc. Alright, so you're in a niche here that's definitely not YMYL. You can totally write about sewing machines and knitting or whatever. In fact, I have a site about this that I'm showing here on the channel as well. It's Sewing Machine Talk. And I actually think I came across this exact topic when I did my topic research. So, are sewing machines safe to use? And I do believe that this whole YMYL thing is working out on a per article basis and not only like a site-wide thing. That means that if you have a website about something that's definitely not about health or financial stuff or something where Google wants you to be an actual expert, you might still want to skip some topics for sure if they are about safety or health related topics and so on. So that's why I wouldn't write this article. So just skip on to the next one, because I believe you can still have one article sort of slammed by the YMYL algorithm without hurting the whole website, and vice versa. You might also be in a YMYL topic and then have a sort of a bunch of articles that's not related to that might rank either way. So that's my take on it, and that's also what I'm seeing across my sites. The next question here is from Danny. Can you do a video on how to set up your website for the US market when you're not living in the US? Like, should I have hosting in the US for speed, how to do keyword research, Google search settings, how to monetize a foreign website, and so on. And yeah, I can totally share my insights on that, because as you know, I'm based in Denmark, or right now we're traveling full time. That's also why I'm here in nature. We are still at Bornholm, trying to enter Germany pretty soon. But getting back to the question here, should I have hosting in the US? So I always recommend starting out on Bluehost, and then eventually when you have, let's say, 80,000 or maybe 100,000, it doesn't matter that much. But if you're starting to see slower load times on your site, and if the Bluehost host is struggling with your site, I would move to VPX hosting. That's my recommendations, and you can also see those on my tools page. You can see all the tools I'm using on my tools page. I have a link to that right here. So when you're working with big international hosting companies like Bluehost and VPX hosting, you are good to go, because they will have servers all around the globe, and that means that the website can be cached in a lot of different locations. And especially they have very, very good servers in the US, of course, because these are US based companies. So I haven't seen any problems with that. So I just do that because Bluehost is super cheap. You can get going like in no time, and you can actually set up, I think, as many sites as you want on one account if you're using subdomains to sort of on the hosting side of things. Your website will still show on your actual domain.com, but you can set it up like a subdomain structure. So in their system, you're still just taking up one spot. And so it's a little technical, but just ask the guys on Bluehost to do this for you. They're very, very kind. I have never yet experienced somebody in the support team who would not just help me right away, no matter what sort of technical problem I had. And it's the same with VPX hosting, so do that. So back to the next question here, how to set up keyword research, Google search settings. So of course in Google you can tell them that you want to see US-based results, but on top of that you also need to be using a VPN service. So that's a virtual private network, and that sounds super technical, and it probably is, and I don't even understand exactly how this is working, but it's very, very easy to do. You just download a piece of software to your computer. You can use Surfshark, or I think it's called ExpressVPN. I have recommendations and links to it also in my tools page. For $2 or $3 per month, you will have this service that will route all your searches and all your traffic on your computer to a US browser. Sorry, not a US browser, a US IP address. And then in Google's eyes, it will look exactly like you're coming from an American IP address. In fact, you are, because you're routed around the US. So that's a great way to do it, because then you'll see exactly what an American person will see when you start typing search queries into Google, and that's what you should be doing. And on top of that, I just make sure that I target topics that are actually relevant to American audiences. And then the last here, how to monetize a foreign website. Okay, so let's say you have a website that's not targeting US traffic. That's what I'm advising, but I still have a website that's getting a ton of traffic in Denmark. So if you have a website, let's say in French or Swedish or Indian or whatever, you can still monetize it. And if you want to do ads on your site, you cannot choose Ad Thrive. I don't know about Mediavine, but I know for sure that Ezoic will put ads on your site regardless of where you are located in the world and also where your traffic is coming from. So with Ad Thrive, you need at least the majority of the traffic, so 51% of the traffic to be from the United States. But with Ezoic, they don't care at all. I mean, you can monetize any sort of traffic with these guys. And I'm seeing pretty decent numbers from my Danish traffic. I mean, earnings in the 20s and sometimes $25 per 1,000 page view. Even with Danish traffic, I mean traffic from Denmark and not from the US. So that's pretty neat. So you can do that. And of course you can work with affiliate offers that are locally based. So there's a ton of affiliate networks in every country, I assume. That at least there's a lot in Denmark, Germany, Sweden, Norway. That's where I've been looking into. And I'm sure there are very good deals in your country as well. And you might also want to look into Amazon, because even though you have your own local affiliate networks, there's also a lot of people shipping Amazon products all over the world from the US or from the nearest location close to you where they can actually ship Amazon stuff. The next question here is from Simply Selling. They're asking, another great video, thanks. I think my biggest challenge is trying to make my website run fast on mobile and desktop. This seems to take a lot of my time. I'm wondering if I should pay someone to help speed up my site. Hard to write content when trying to deal with issues like that. What do you recommend? So I totally get where you're coming from here. It can be very frustrating to experience these technical issues on your site when you know that you should just be churning out content. So I know exactly how that feels. Let's say your site is very slow and you have a hard time even getting it to load like properly on the mobile screen. It's typically on the mobile phone your website will have the poorest performance. So make sure to always check your loading speed on a mobile, because it's typically great on a desktop computer or a laptop. So if it is indeed very slow and if you find it annoying yourself to browse your own site, I would do something about it. But let's say it's just loading in, let's say 4 or 5 seconds, and it's alright and the text is appearing there pretty fast and it's just images or surrounding graphics or even ads that's loaded later. I would say you're probably doing just fine. Google came out recently and told us that the speed issues is not a main ranking factor. It definitely plays into the whole algorithm with Google, but it's not a big deal unless your website is really slow. And you can also check the competition. I mean, if you're up against a few other sites and if you know exactly who your competitors are, check their load times, because if they're not if they're worse than yours, you're definitely good to go. You just need to beat the competition always with Google. That's how it is. So I wouldn't worry much about it, especially in the beginning. Just focus on good content unless it's really annoyingly slow. Then change your theme to Astra maybe, or another really fast theme. Just choose something that's sleek and quick and get rid of all those extra plugins that you don't really need on your site, or just disable them for now and enable them when you need them for statistics or whatever sort of plugins you have on your site. The next question here is from Samuel Rawlings. So would you say we shouldn't disavow the spammy links then? And this ties into a conversation in one of my videos about whether you should disavow bad links pointing to your site. And this whole disavow tool from Google is something they built so you can tell Google that these links pointing to my site are not actual links that I want pointing to my site. I don't want you to play them into the whole ranking algorithm regarding my site. So you can tell Google that this spam over here is nothing that I want to be associated with. So you can use this tool if you deliberately paid for links and you have spammy stuff pointing to your site, or if you really believe that somebody else was trying to hurt you by pointing spam links at your site. But I'm pretty sure that Samuel here is referring to websites linking to you that are just scraped content. It's just bots and spiders running around the internet grabbing RSS feeds and other really technical terms, trying to pick bits and pieces from different articles, just putting them in long articles and linking out to whatever sites. So this is auto-generated content. And Google is very clear about that. You don't need to pay attention to this at all. As soon as you have good traffic on your site, let's say you have 50,000 page views or even more, you will just start to see a lot of these links pointing to your site, because that's how it works. Some people are just creating sort of this auto-generated content from RSS feeds and just bot scrapers and other technical stuff to sort of see if they can attract some traffic in Google with auto-generated content. And you don't need to worry about this at all. I can show you here exactly what these links look like so you know what to look for. This is an example from Go Downsize. I have a ton of these links pointing to my site and I don't do anything about it. But if we are talking about articles, so you can say somebody actually wrote an article, they're trying to link to you with something that's spammy, maybe it's adult content or it's just content that you definitely do not want to be associated with, or is something that's overly optimized. There's a ton of links with weird anchor text and stuff like that. You can totally disavow it if you feel like it might be hurting your site. So that's another story. But if you find that stuff, disavow it and just get it out of the way. But Google did deliberately hide this disavow tool, and it's not like it's accessible from Google Analytics or Search Console. It's pretty hard to find it. You have to dig a little bit. You have to do an actual Google search to specifically look for the disavow tool to find it. And Google told us that the reason why they're not making it easy to find it from Search Console or Google Analytics or something like that is because most people don't need to think about it. It's only if you're dealing with a direct attack on your site where it's very clear that somebody actually wrote articles that are linking to you with spammy anchor words or just around topics that you don't want to be associated with. But otherwise, don't think about these links. If it's just auto-generated content, just let it sit there. It will not hurt your site. And again, as you can see, I'm in nature filming this video. I was trying to bike around the area here where we are RVing at the moment to find a very scenic landscape to film this video in, but it seems like I have to have the light coming toward my face and not directly on my face, so this is the best I could do. I don't know if you can see what's behind me, but on the way here I actually found a little snake, so that's very neat. I love animals and I was able to sort of rescue it and put it in the side of the road. So that was very neat. So I'm happy I had to take this detour, but I think I drove around 15 minutes to find the spot to film this video. But I'll try for my next video to find a more scenic backdrop for you guys, because we are traveling through some very beautiful nature. It's just hard to find good lighting where the light is coming perfectly so you can actually see something behind me. But I'll show you a little bit of footage here in the end so you can see where we are at. See you guys next time.